good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our PFP Wake Up Show. And we are here this morning with our one and only Minister Lauren. So please go, as you're joining in on Facebook, please go and subscribe on our YouTube page. We are at close to our goal of 250 subscribers, but we need your help to get there. So please go and follow us on our YouTube page at Predestined for Purpose Ministries PFP and subscribe. We thank you for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I am doing well.
Good
I love
morning
your
and
dress.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You. I look forward to seeing what you're going to wear on Sundays. I do.
Well, thank you.
I just love your style, and it's just so classy.
Thank you.
So we are here this morning to talk with our beautiful minister and leader of the women's ministry, Minister Lauren, who is also an entrepreneur, and she's a business owner. She owns Lula Dula Boutique in White Plains, and she is also a wife and a mother. And so we have a lot of questions for her this morning. And as you know, if you have any questions of your own, just please add it in the comments section, and we'll try to make some time to answer your questions. So I'm going to just jump right in to the first question. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about your business and what type of business you own?
Sure. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good morning, everyone on YouTube and Facebook. I am Minister Lauren Morris. I am the owner of Lula Dula Boutique and the owner of Lula Dula Design and Manufacturing, Inc. in White Plains, New York. And I've been in business for over 20 years, but I've been in my locations since 2017. Wow. And and we are kicking off the holiday season very, very shortly. It seems like it's rapidly approaching.
Yes, it is.
In my business, we sell women's clothing, accessories. I'm a handbag designer. The name of my design line is Lauren M. And I design mainly oversized clutches, and we do it with like different fabrics and materials and something very unique. And a lot of times they're very one of a kind.
Right. So if I purchase a clutch, then I won't see too many people with the same one.
You may not see anyone with the same one.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And so I didn't know. I knew you owned a boutique, but I didn't know that you also created. You have your own design. That is amazing.
Yes, I have my own manufacturing company. I am MWBE. New York State certified, so we have the ability to now take on contracts from other companies and from the state to create, to make whatever it is that they need. We have a design and manufacturing studio, and we're one of its kind in Westchester.
So what advice can you give to some of the young women out there that may be interested in going to a business like yours, or just maybe, has a creative mind and doesn't know how to implement it in a business?
Well, I would definitely say to seek God first.
Amen.
For direction.
Amen.
A lot of times we are, chock full of creativity and ideas, but we don't have that direction that we need to see it through. So, or to even begin. So, seeking God first is, definitely key. I would say then to also, once he's giving you some kind of direction, because it may not be your timing. So timing is very important too.
Good.
So you have to realize where your skill set is and what you need. A lot of times people want to jump out in the deep and, just go ahead and launch their business, but you might still need training.
Yeah.
You might need classes. You might actually have to go and work for another entrepreneur in the same field to figure out, is this even for me? Because there's many sides to business. So you have your creativity, and then you have the business side. And you need to know how to work both.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And that to me is two very, very imperative tips because number one, we want to seek God in all of our ways, right? We don't want to ever do anything. And sometimes we could have a great idea and we're like, yeah, that's what God wants. And it's like, yeah, not a good thing is, not every good thing is a God thing, right?
Right, right, exactly.
And then I work with emerging adults and youth, and a lot of them come into my office and I say, you know, what do you want to do? What are your goals, right? What do you want to achieve for, you know, as your career? And a lot of them say, I want to be a business owner, right? And they don't realize that in the beginning, it's a lot of sacrifice, right? They look at the end point, which we see you and you look so great and you have this great, beautiful store boutique. And I saw you have the new loft and it's just everything looks so glamorous and amazing, but it took a lot of sacrifice, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely will say, and I'll just jump out there and say it, that I paid the cost
Wow.
for this.
Wow.
It wasn't something that just happened overnight. There was a lot of sacrifices that took place and that needed to take place. And I know we're going to get into questions.
Yes.
That's going to be a great segue,
Yes.
actually.
Oh, awesome.
Like,
Good.
who is over this interview, me or you? But, but, but to your point, yeah, we can wake up with these great thoughts and say, oh, I want to be a business owner, I want to be an entrepreneur, but it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of giving of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and I absolutely love that you made that point because it's very good that we have that mindset to prepare because a lot of times we'll have the goal but we don't have the stamina and then we get all these different loops that we didn't expect and then you know we get somewhat discouraged. So great way to start off. And now I'm going to jump into my questions. So how do you maintain entrepreneurship, being a mother, a wife, and a minister?
Well, again, it didn't just happen. It took time to get there. So in the beginning, I'll just go back. So I've been married. December 15th will make 23 years I've been married.
Wow.
Yes, yes,
Amazing.
yes, yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.
And the crowd roars.
And the
No, I've been married for 23 years.
Beautiful.
I have 3 children, 22, 19, and 15.
Wow.
And I've always had this entrepreneurship drive in me, right? So I didn't know exactly where to put it or how to do it until one day I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. And I was home and I've always worked retail. That was something that just came easy for me.
Yeah.
I went up in the ranks. I was a store manager. I was visuals. I was a merchandiser, all kinds of things for many companies, many companies. And I was home one day and I literally saw this commercial, and the commercial was like, it was a college commercial. You know, I won't put in a shameless plug, but it was a college commercial, and it kept playing. And I was saying to myself, if I see this commercial one more time, I'm going to enroll. That's it. That's it.
Right.
And I saw it again, and I enrolled.
Wow.
And I began to seek out fashion. What is that? What does that entail?
Right.
How can I sharpen my skills? How can I learn more? How can I grow in this industry? And I went to school and I had my internship and I had 2 kids and I was married and I had a full-time job.
Wow.
So I was doing this all day, every day.
Wow.
And it was tough. It was tough, but I did it. So flash forward a few years, I became a business owner many different times of my life. So some things worked, some things didn't work.
Right.
Some opportunities happened, and then some doors closed.
Right.
So I actually had to learn the art of not being selfish. Because I think in the beginning, I had a way of being selfish. because you have this ambition and this drive to make it
Yes.
happen and jump out there and do things. And, I'm going to go over here. And I started making my bags as I was working for a company. And then I remember working for this company and feeling like, okay, I have my bags. I'm working for this big shot company in Manhattan. And then they went through a series of layoffs. I
Wow.
lost my job. I actually got fired from that job. And that's another thing. I was like fired from job after job after job after job. But that's another
Wow.
story. I'll
Yeah.
get into that a little bit. But I say that to say is that I started making my own bags, designing my own bags, and then trying to peddle them from store to store. And because I wasn't a
Wow.
brand per se, it was hard to put them on the shelves.
Correct. Yeah.
So when I got fired from this job, I, went home and decided, like, you know what? I'm going to open my own store. And I opened my first store in 2010. I
Wow.
took whatever I had in my account, right? And it might not have been the smartest thing and the smartest move because it was whatever I had in my account,
Right.
and I still have a family here,
Right. Right.
So I took what I had, I opened up the store, and I was open for 9 months. 9 months. So it was kind of like if I would have known, more, or if I would have, given it a little more time, maybe I would have been open a little longer. So a
Wow.
lot of sacrifice
Yes.
um, of
Learning
myself, yes,
experiences.
learning experience, and throughout the years, sacrifice of myself, and saying, you know what, my family's important. I have to put this on the back burner and take on this other job. I have to go and work for people because after that store closed, it was like, okay, so now what? So in a sense, I had to humble myself and then go and work for another company. But in those
Mm.
companies, I learned how to operate on the
Right.
business end.
Right, right. And I think that's so important because, like we said in the beginning, we can have ideas all we want, but if we don't have the skill set to implement those ideas or that creativity, we'll just fall through and everything would just be, you know, a learned lesson, right? And then, so as you continue to learn and build your skill, that was when you begin to realize, okay, this is how I'm going to establish my business. This is how I'm going to put it into fruition where it can grow and reap the benefits of your sacrifice.
Yeah, so a lot of it was learning balance as well.
Right.
So now it's to a point where when I go home, I'm totally shut off from business. Whereas before,
That's
I would
awesome.
stay as long as I could,
Right.
hours and hours, and then you have to put that time in,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But at the same time, when you go home, if there has to be a cutoff period.
Yes.
It has to be a cutoff period.
Yes.
Mentally,
Yes.
physically, spiritually,
Right.
hello, it
Hello.
has to be a cutoff period. And
Yeah.
but that is something that you have to learn how to do. You still
Absolutely.
have to be a wife. You still have to be a mother. You still have to help with
Right.
homework.
Right.
You still have to go home
Absolutely.
and cook dinner. There's
Yes.
things that needs to be done. So say for instance, there was no dinner. You still have to go food shopping.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it's learning
Yeah.
that balance. And then on top of that, being so heavily involved in church for years because I was ordained minister back in 2019, I believe.
Hmm.
And so from 2010 to 2019, it was like all learning for me,
Wow.
learning how to do this, how to juggle that, how to
Wow.
not be selfish, because that
Right.
is a thing that creeps in and you have no idea how selfish you're being
Right.
until you see the effects of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that, right? Like I love that how you're breaking it down because again, a lot of young people or even, middle age, right, who still may not have an idea as to what they want to do with their creativity, it's important to go through the process, right? And learn
Yes.
through the experiences and be patient with yourself, right? Be patient with the plan that God has given to you because in the beginning you said it's on his timing, right? And so as we continue to put him first and as we continue to follow his timing, we also have to build the skill, be patient, learn boundaries and keep the endurance.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I would say to young entrepreneurs is that you have to follow before you can lead.
That's right.
And a lot of people say, I don't want to be a follower. It's not that.
Right.
It's not that.
No,
So
it's a
in your
learning
following,
experience.
you're learning.
Correct.
You're learning the do's and the
Yes.
don'ts, the ins and the outs.
Yes.
So you have to, if you're fortunate enough to intern for someone, to learn from someone, or work in a company that is, where you're trying to get to, then do that.
Yeah.
Do that first. Get that hands-on, on-a-job training and things like that. But one thing I will say, to piggyback off of timing, I never forget it was a word spoken over my life that my business was going to come to pass. This was 2009. Business was going to come to pass, and God was going to do it, and this was going to happen, and that was going to happen. 2010, I just launched out there. Right, but it wasn't the time.
Right.
It was the wrong time, So a lot of times
right.
we get these prophecies, and we're
Yes.
just gung ho, and
Yes.
like I'm going to do it
the
right now.
word.
I got the word. I cannot fail.
Right.
Yeah, wrong.
Right. Wrong.
Because it's not the
Yeah,
right
it's not
time.
the right time, and that's why it's important that we stay in constant communication with the Lord,
Absolutely.
praying without ceasing. Right. And 2 weeks ago, we had Prophetess Toy here, and we spoke about the importance of prayer, and so that kind of coincides with what you're saying. Just keeping God first and making sure that we keep an open line of communication with Him, so that we don't fall into our own opinion, right, as
Yeah.
to how we're supposed to move in this grand old plan.
Yeah, and then even with praying, like you have to learn how to do that too, because I used to
Yeah.
pray and then go do.
Right.
So it was like I'm praying and I'm just telling God what I'm going to do.
Right.
So it was like I
Right.
wasn't waiting for an answer. I wasn't waiting for
Right.
Him to lead and guide me and show me. It was like, in my mind, I'm doing that. But I know what I want to do.
Right.
So it was like I'm just giving the Lord a heads up. You
I'm
got
not
my
really
back,
asking
right?
you for permission.
I'm not really
just
asking.
wanna
I'm
make
just
you aware.
Yes, exactly. I'm just telling you, and you got my back.
Right.
But
right.
not so.
Not
Not
so.
so,
Not
because there's
so.
a set time for everything.
Yes, and I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. So we are short for time, but I do want to ask this last question. What is in the fabric, as you already told us, your many skills and your business, the type of business that you run and own, what is in the fabric of a godly woman?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a deep question.
It's a good
But
one, right?
so then when you think of fabric,
Yeah.
fabric is a combination of materials and fibers that are put together, and this beautiful fabric appears,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to have good character.
Yes.
You got to check your character and check.
So good.
You got to have integrity.
Yes.
You have to have fruit.
Yeah.
You got no fruit, I don't know what you're doing out here.
Right.
Especially if you're saying you're a godly woman, right? So your fruit is key in this thing, because it works both in the spiritual and the natural.
Right.
And it transcends in both, So having that godly foundation and character on top of it, integrity on top of it, fruits of the spirit on top of it, like you have to have these things in your life, because it will tell on you if you don't. And
Wow.
it will overlap into business. It will overlap
Wow.
into your marriage, into the church.
Wow.
You have to have things like your insides got to be good. Let me just be real.
Yes. Yeah. Come on and be real. We
Your-
love it. We love the
your
realness.
insides need to
Yes.
be pure.
I know that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yes, I
Like,
know what you're
you have to be that person that is able to put you aside for someone else. You have to have love. You got to have peace
Yeah.
of mind. If you don't have peace of
Yeah.
mind,
Right.
or you don't have peace in your life, what are we
Right.
doing? What are we?
Right.
You're all over the place in your
Right.
business, in the church, in the
Right.
home. You're
Right.
all over the place.
Right.
Having that forgiveness in your heart, That's key too, because without that, you
Yes.
can't do anything. It's
Right.
like a blockage.
Right.
It's like a clogged artery, really.
Right.
You know, so it's like nothing you can do without these foundations, you know? And then you have to be
Yes.
able to listen to God and be anxious for nothing.
Mm.
You
Mm,
can't be
mm,
running out there and just, you know, I want to open this business, or I want this husband, or I want this, and just running out there doing the most and doing the
right.
least at the same time,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you're just hurting yourself. So when you talk about your godly foundation and things like that, it's not just going to church, you
That's
know.
right.
Yeah, and it's being able to apply things to your life, your everyday life. It's not about just Sundays and, you know, oh, you know, I'm going to service and I'm gonna be all right for the rest of the week.
Mm-mm.
No, this is an everyday thing. It's a
Yes.
lifestyle.
A
It's a
lifestyle.
lifestyle. So those things are woven into that fabric. Those things
Love
are woven
that.
into those material. You know, all those are like materials that's needed to make this fabric.
I love it. And then you have a beautiful masterpiece at the
Then you have a
end.
beautiful
And
masterpiece.
yeah.
And we're not perfect. I'm
Right.
not perfect
Right,
by
right, right, right.
no means, but you
Hmm.
know, we strive for this
Strive.
perfection
We
every
strive
day.
every day.
Every day. And
Yes.
you know, when you put God first, He just orders your steps.
That's
He's
it.
so awesome. I've been married
Yes.
23 years and it has not been easy. You
Yeah.
know, I was married young. I was
Yeah.
20 years old
Hmm.
and I was married young, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, she's crazy." Da 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 da. But at the same time, God is a keeper.
Yes, he
And I
is.
have learned so much being a young wife, a young mother, a
Wow.
business owner, a minister, how to make blend and work and the balance
Love
of it.
that.
I'm still learning.
Yes,
I'm
of
still
course.
learning,
Every
right?
day.
Because you go
Yes.
higher in these
Of
things, and then there's a
course.
new lesson, and there's more to
Yes.
learn. So
Yes.
I'm just grateful to God for the things He's done and He is
Absolutely.
doing.
Yes, yes, and I love how all the nuggets that you just gave us doesn't just pertain to fabric. Obviously, it doesn't just pertain to business, but life in its entirety, right? And you know, having the fruits of the spirit and long suffering and being kind and loving and patient, right? Those tools are important for us to be successful at life. And it has to
Absolutely.
be a lifestyle, right? Christianity is not coming to church and hooping and hollering. No, it is a lifestyle, having integrity and character and not allowing the things of the world to taint that or change that. So we absolutely thank you for coming in this
You're so
morning.
welcome. This was awesome.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the mighty nuggets that you left us with. We're going to replay it, right, and utilize it. And we just truly appreciate you and all that you have to offer. We love you as our minister
Yes,
and
thank you
our
so much.
leader of the women's ministry. And so we hope
Yes.
to see more of you.
Yes, and I just will add this last thing for the women's ministry. We're doing such exciting things and holding up the
Yes.
vision of this ministry, and we are on the move. And our next, you know, thing that we're gonna do,
Event or,
event,
okay.
you know, per se.
Yes.
So Women's Sunday is the fourth Sunday of every month,
Okay.
and for breast cancer awareness month, we're going to have our pink Sunday. So we're going to be in pink
Awesome.
and praise, and we're going to
Yes.
worship.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. And so
Amen.
we hope to see you all here. That's going to be on the 30th.
Awesome. Yes. So please come in, come and visit us at Predestined for Purpose Ministries, 531 Nepperhan Avenue. Wear your pink, and if you can't come in person, join us live on Facebook. Go and subscribe. We are close to 250
Woohoo!
subscribers. We want to get to 500 and then 1,000. So please go and support the ministry. Go and support the work of the Lord. And thank you for joining us again. And we hope to see you next week. Have a blessed Sunday.
Have a
God
blessed
bless.
Sunday.